her mother to tell her that she was heading home, but she never made it. On October 8th, 2015, 23-year-old Miranda Goldman left her home to go run some errands 45 minutes away in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. According to Miranda's mother, who Miranda had a close relationship with, Miranda said that she went to get something to eat in Pine Bluff. She had ran some errands and she went in the Goodwill in Pine Bluff to get a pair of pants and a belt. Miranda Goldman had been struggling in life. She had an addiction issue that she was battling and had been battling for a while. She fell in with the wrong crowd of people, a drug dealer being one of them. While with this new group of friends, Miranda got stopped. The police officer asked her if there was anything illegal in the car, and she replied that there was, probably being drugs. All of the people in the vehicle were taken to the police department, and Miranda was talked to separately by the police. They were trying to convince her to give them some information, and Miranda had not given them information at that point, but the friend group, after they left the police department, felt like Miranda had snitched on them and started threatening her. So Miranda had been talking to her mother, telling her mother that she was really kind of afraid for her life at that point in time. In order to get further away from addiction and get her life back on track, Miranda had moved back in with her mother and was taking active steps to improve her life. Like on this day when she went to go run errands, she went in Goodwill to purchase a pair of pants and a belt and saw that they were accepting applications. While at the Goodwill store, Miranda was talking on the phone and was heard saying that she would be out of the store shortly or something to that effect. Miranda Goldman called her mother to tell her that she was going to go to a friend's house, get cleaned up, and then go back to the Goodwill store, fill out an application, and maybe do an interview. According to the employees at that Goodwill store, when they left work for that day, Miranda's vehicle was parked in the parking lot, and it was still there when they came back the following day. But Miranda never came back in to complete an application or do an interview. Like I said before, Miranda Goldman was very close to her mother, so close that her mom said that sometimes she would call her like 20 times a day. So Miranda Goldman's mother knew that something was wrong pretty early on when Miranda stopped calling her and didn't show back up at home. The Pine Bluff Police Department did not take Miranda's disappearance seriously at first because of Miranda's history with drug usage. But on November 10th, 2015, so 32 days after Miranda's disappearance, an anonymous source called the Pine Bluff Police Department to report that there were remains in a wooded area at the corner of 38th Street and Ohio. This area was a little over 2 miles away from where Miranda's car was found. The remains were positively identified as belonging to Miranda Goldman, but the cause of death was not determined, although it was ruled to be a homicide. That's about all of the knowledge that is public for this case. It has been almost 8 years since Miranda Goldman's death, and this case is still unsolved. Miranda's family deserves to know what happened to her. Yes, Miranda struggled with addiction. She had struggles like everybody has struggles in life. Maybe your struggle is not addiction, but everyone has struggles. But Miranda was trying. Miranda had a good heart. Miranda was loved by many people. There is a hefty reward for information that results in an arrest in this case. And by hefty, I mean $20,000. So they definitely want information in this case that will solve the mystery of Miranda's murder. Miranda's mother does believe that her murder has something to do with the issue with the police and the group of friends that was threatening Miranda. And I use the term friends so loosely. Eventually, someone is going to come forward that has information about this case. If you have information about this case, I urge you to call the Pine Bluff Police Department. The number is 870-730-2090. That is 870-730-2090. So if you have information about this case, please come forward, because you can be the first one to come forward and get the deal, or you can be the one that doesn't ever come forward and get all the time. It's really just up to you if you have information about this case or were involved in the murder of Miranda Goldman. Either way, it has been almost 8 years, and Miranda Goldman's family deserves to know what happened. This 18-year-old died shortly after dropping his child off. So according to all reports, Jody Loring was an amazing kid. He was 18 years old. He had just graduated from Conway High School. He was so excited about moving on to bigger and better things. So Jody Loring, people describe him as being a goofball. They describe him as being loving and kind and wanting other people to be happy. His mom says that he told people that he saw that looked like they were down, like, smile, it'll get better. And now all she has is memories of her son because she'll never see him again. So Jody Loring, at the time of his death, actually had a 3-month-old son named Sincere. That really is such a precious name. So according to Jody's mother, he was really positive and upbeat before he left that evening. Jody Loring and the mother of his child, the mother of Sincere, had everything worked out. Jody would watch Sincere while she was working, and when she got home from work, Jody would bring Sincere home. And that's exactly what Jody did on that night. So the mother of Sincere got home from work about like 12-ish, and Jody took Sincere to her home on Donahue Avenue in Conway. I can't see who all the mother lived with. I haven't been able to find that in the articles, but Jody dropped the child off. He dropped Sincere off, and he went and got in his Suburban. Jody Loring did not even make it away from the house before his vehicle, his Suburban, was riddled with bullets. On the driver's side, in the driver's side window, there were several bullet holes, and Jody did not survive his injuries. According to Jody's mother, she does not believe that Jody was the actual target. She thinks that maybe someone else in the home is. That's why I say, like, I don't know who else lived in the home, but this wasn't a place that Jody lived. He was literally just dropping his child off. And that kind of like wrong place, wrong time thing really is horrible, considering the fact that Jody Loring did not make it. Even investigators say that they have heard nothing bad about Jody Loring, and they truly have no leads as to who could possibly have done this to Jody Loring. There were 5 shootings in 2018, and 2 of them are unsolved. Of course, one of those is Jody's case. It's still unsolved. Someone out there knows what happened, and it's really terrible that someone knows what happened and they're unwilling to say, so that this family can have justice, so that this family can know who and what and why, the things that any person would want to know if this happened to their child. So if you have any information about the shooting on Donahue Avenue in 2018 in Conway, I urge you to please contact the Conway Police Department. They need these leads. They need any information that you may have, even if you think it might not be pertinent. Maybe it will be something that will help, that will give Jody's family what they're needing. Jody had his entire life ahead of him, and that was taken from him. Sincere will never have a relationship with his father. He won't know his father. That ability to have that relationship with his father was taken from him because of decisions that other people made. And those decisions can't be undone, but they can be corrected. February 3rd, 1998, in Gilmore, Arkansas, police found a body inside Luther's Lucky Dollar Store. The store was owned by 74-year-old Emmett Luther, and that was the body that police found inside the store on that day. They also found that $20 bills and $5 bills had been taken out of the register. I wasn't able to find a lot of information about this case, but I did find that Emmett Luther's death shocked the Gilmore community. Emmett Luther was a kind person who was known for letting customers come in and get groceries even when they couldn't afford them. He would give them groceries on credit. Sometimes he would also just lend them money so that they could get the groceries for themselves. Honestly, I know that this was like 25 years ago, but I wish people were more like that today. So police questioned a lot of people, but they really didn't have that much, and this crime went unsolved for a long time. It wasn't until 2007 when there was finally an arrest made in this case. In 2007, Melvin Boyd, who would have been 46 years old at the time of the crime, got out of prison in Texas. He paroled out, and he was arrested for the murder of Emmett Luther in Arkansas. So he was brought back to Arkansas to be charged with this crime. The police said that they had a witness that placed Melvin Boyd in Emmett Luther's store on the day of the crime. Melvin Boyd was charged with aggravated robbery and capital murder. After so many years of not having any sort of justice, I can't imagine the relief that was brought to Emmett Luther's family when this arrest was made. The family's relief didn't last long, though, because around 6 months after Melvin Boyd was arrested, he was released from jail because the witness that was set to testify against Melvin Boyd and say that they saw Melvin Boyd in Emmett Luther's store on the day of the murder died. And while police say that it wasn't a suspicious death, it really just put an end to everything, and the case has sat unsolved since then. Melvin Boyd was released from jail, and they weren't able to do anything else. The witness did make a recording about what they were going to testify to, but unfortunately, if a defendant or defense team does not have the ability to cross-examine a witness, then that witness cannot be used. But I believe that there's someone out there that does have knowledge of this crime, and if a case can be built, I think that that would bring a lot of peace to the family, something that they have missed out on for 25 years. This case was listed with other Arkansas State Police cases, so if you have information about this crime, about the death, the murder of Emmett Luther, please call the Arkansas State Police. I will put the number on the screen. Is money the reason that this man disappeared? If you live in a small town in Arkansas, have you ever been to a store and seen like a group of old men just sitting on a bench or maybe in a booth just talking like old men do? That was something that Robert Lomax could be seen doing in the small town of Saratoga, Arkansas. Robert Lomax was 80 years old in 1992. By all accounts, he was in really good health for his age because he walked everywhere. Robert Lomax never had a driver's license. The people in the town of Saratoga knew Robert Lomax pretty well, and there were a lot of things known about him. One of the things that everyone just kind of knew about him was that Robert Lomax carried large sums of cash on him. Could those large sums of money have been the reason that on Thanksgiving Day, 1992, Robert Lomax disappeared and was never seen again? So on November 27th, 1992, Robert Lomax went to a relative's house on Capitol Hill Road for a Thanksgiving dinner. He stayed at that residence for a while, but he left around 5 p.m. He was going to walk home. It was a short walk, and people did offer him a ride home, but he said that he needed the exercise, so he decided to just go ahead and walk. While Robert Lomax was gone having his Thanksgiving dinner that day, another resident of Saratoga had taken a plate from their Thanksgiving meal to Robert's home for Robert to eat. That man left the plate on Robert's porch. The next day, he went to Robert's house to get his plate back, like people do. And the plate was still sitting there. It hadn't been touched. That person really felt like, hey, there is something really wrong here. And he went to go get the police. The police went to Robert Lomax's house and they tried to get inside. The door was locked. They did eventually get inside. There was no sign of any sort of foul play, but there was also no sign of Robert. Also, something that was listed is that the air conditioner was on. Again, this was November, and really what the temperature will be is anyone's guess, right? Because it's Arkansas. But I did look it up, and the temperature that day was around 35 degrees. By all reports, Robert Lomax was a cold-natured person. So why was the air conditioner on that day? The case is listed as a missing persons case, but it is widely believed in that area that Robert Lomax wouldn't have just wandered off. So the citizens in Howard County and the sheriff at the time of Robert's disappearance believe that Robert met foul play. So of course now it's 2023. Robert Lomax would be 110 years old. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter what happened to Robert Lomax. DNA samples have been taken from Robert's surviving family, so any remains that are located can be tested against that DNA. If you have any information about the disappearance of Robert Lomax, please contact the Howard County Sheriff's Office. That phone number is 870-845-2626. And please remember, if this was your loved one, you would want to know what happened to them also. At the time of Robert Lomax's disappearance, he was 80 years old. Robert Lomax was a Black male. He was 6 feet tall and weighed around 180 pounds.